The Goons are back at it again on Crunch Time. Mad Max and Kruck are live right now.
All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome into the newest episode of Crunch Time with Kruck. It's somewhere in the mid-50s. I don't even know at this point.
We're like 52, 53 maybe.
I got no idea. I did get a new hat, though. That pink hat right next to you.
Oh,
Yeah, I went home for Easter, picked that up. How was your Easter, Max?
You know, it was good, man. I mean, I just hung around here, but, I called games and chilled and got some rest, much needed rest. Just trying to figure out my life, Kruck, as we all are a bit, huh?
Dude, absolutely. I mean, graduating in May, having to get a real person job, not sounding fun. But let's jump right into topics right away. The Masters just wrapped up, and it is the greatest tradition in sports, says Jim Nantz. And I mean, you and I are both huge Jim Nantz fans. So, yeah. I mean,
I think he's one of the top broadcasters out there. He just does a great job with every sport. And you want to just get started for us, Kruck? What about the Masters here?
All right, so the Masters, John Rahm ends up winning the Masters, and I believe this is his second, third, or fourth all-time actual tournament win across the PGA Tour. So, I mean, that is an interesting win. And then you look at the top five because most people don't know this is the first time across all of sports, right? Not across all sports, but in golf, where live golfers have been welcomed back to the PGA Tour. You look at the top five, 3 of the top 5 are live golfers. Yeah. And, honestly, we're not going to get super political about it because a lot of people like to when it comes to live, right? But yes, live is ran and organized by Saudi Arabian company or country, however you want to break it down.
Influence.
Yeah. They are the ones running it. And something interesting about live compared to the PGA, in the PGA you have to play and rank in each tournament to win your money. In live golf, you get paid straight out the gate. So like when Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson, when all those guys went over to live, they got money right out the gate because all they had to do was swing on the first tee box and they got their money. They didn't have to place. They didn't have to do nothing. They got their money right away. So, Max, I'm going to ask you, would you take that deal? Would you leave the PGA for guaranteed money, or would you stay in the PGA, the established golf league, to then earn your money?
I mean, that goes into, I guess you can say, for principle, because it depends on like what type of person you want to be. And I think people always want to get money when they can. I think anytime anyone does anything and they're influenced by anything, money is a big factor. And I think when I look at live, right, I think the live golfers, a lot of them wanted to move over is because of that. They didn't feel like they were getting it because of the PGA, because say you were in like the bottom of the places or whatever, you weren't getting the money that you wanted, say probably as you are in live, which you're probably getting a lot more for being like 12th or 13th or whatever. So I would probably say I would want to go towards live, because, I mean, guaranteed money is guaranteed money.
Absolutely.
But listen, I'm not also a guy that's going to be saying, well, I want to earn my money because I'm the best at what I do, because that's why you're there.
Yeah.
And I think, though, just getting to the fact of what you said about these guys being big time in, like, big majors like this, that just shows you that the live golfers you can't mess around with. I mean, we already saw Phil Mickelson. He's at an age that's, what, like 40s, up in his 40s or 50s?
High 40s, if not low 50s. I mean,
and he went second place, tied with Brooks Koepka.
Exactly.
And that tells you a lot right there. But I mean, I'm going to get into Tiger real quick too. I mean, obviously Tiger, we've saw about it, right? Obviously was in the cut, then got out of it, disqualified because of the back injury. I mean, that was tough for everyone to watch too as well. But I mean, looking at it though, the live golfers you can't disrespect at all.
No, you
can't.
Phil
Mickelson, Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka,
Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau.
I mean, DeChambeau didn't have the best performance in the Masters like he would have won of, but we know he's one of the best golfers out there. And that's why I think both sides you can go either way.
Because, see, you touched on something that I want to expand on. Bryson DeChambeau is one of the best golfers around, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's undisputed. He's one of the best golfers. He can outdrive probably 90% of the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a bad weekend at Augusta, missed the cut, doesn't get any money, right? He has a bad weekend for live, he walks away with money.
Yeah.
He still walks away with money. I mean, as two people who obviously aren't rolling in dough like all these PGA golfers are, right?
Right.
We're taking the guaranteed money. We're moving on. We're saying thank you. We're having a smile on our face. But here is something that reporters, and I don't want to say reporters and make them the bad guys. I just want to say whoever is telling these people to ask these questions, they are loaded and they are terrible. The first Live golf tournament, they broke down all of the bad things that Saudi Arabia as a country and as an empire, if you will, has done, right? Human trafficking, murders, all that stuff, right? And they're asking these golfers, they're like, do you support this? And the golfers are like, clearly not. Like, we're not here because we want to see people die, right? And they're like, well, you're taking their money. You're taking their blood money. And these golfers are human too. We forget that they're human. And these golfers are like, I don't care what money I have to feed my family, to pay my rent, to support my home. I have to do it. Whether I have to work a 9 to 5 or whether I get to swing my 7-iron and put it 3 inches from the hole, I have to support my family. And I mean, I respect that so much that people just can honestly say, even though I may not support the cause behind how this has started, I'm still going to do this because I have to support myself and my family.
I mean, it's their job, right? It's their job to do. That's what they're paid to do, and that's what they want to get. So no matter if you're in Live or if you're in PGA, I think they should get the same respect they do.
Absolutely.
And I if you want to say it because of the money and they're going to go somewhere because of it, all right. I mean, can be a debate you can have either day, but the granted is, listen, they're still playing golf. They're still, like you said, they're still human beings. So, I mean, real quick before we move on here, props to John Rahm.
Absolutely.
I mean, getting to the real specifics, going into it, Brooks Koepka had the lead in the third round.
He did.
And granted, listen, the Masters was crazy this entire week with weather disrupting everything. We had trees falling down in the middle of the course. I mean, and it kind of messed up. People had to start bright and early, 8:30 in the morning playing golf. So, but the fact that John Rahm kept fighting with Brooks Koepka, because Koepka had minus 13. He fell down to minus 8.
Yeah, he went.
And John Rahm was at minus 12.
Or I believe he started at 12 under because he went three over in the fourth round.
Regardless, he was in a great spot to win it, and then he just fell apart. So, I mean, it's just the difference of how golf can be. When you get into a situation, a major like this, people get pressure, and they can feel the nerves. And I think that's what happened to Brooks Koepka, and John Rahm took advantage, and it's his first time winning the green jacket there, correct?
And we'd like to give one big congratulations to John Rahm, the dad bod proving everybody wrong.
That's true.
You don't have to be a muscular person. You can rock the dad bod. Moving on into NBA. I believe regular season is
We're in the playoffs.
We're now in the playoffs. Okay,
Yep.
So, Max, which conference do you want to break down first? Eastern or Western?
I'm going to go, listen, I'll go with the Eastern Conference because I bet you know where I'm going, Kruck.
Yep.
You know where my Knicks are going to be at. They are in the playoffs, right? I'm going to look at the Eastern Conference though in totality. Granted, I'll get to my Knicks in a minute, right? But the East Conference is interesting to me because you could say it's a top-heavy Eastern Conference with the Bucks there, the Celtics, and the Sixers. But you can't sleep on maybe. If the Miami Heat can find a way to win the play-in tournament, they could be a threat for the Celtics.
They could be.
I really do. Because the Miami Heat last year, when you have Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Butler is another person, another experience. So I think the Miami Heat, if they win that 7-8 matchup, they play the Celtics in the first round, that could be a struggle to watch out for. I think another one to keep an eye on is this Cavaliers-Knicks series. I'm just going to go right into it, right? Both of these teams are interesting to me. The Cavaliers, again, just like you're probably going to talk about in the West with the Sacramento Kings, no one talked about them. The Cavaliers were not talked about at all in the Eastern Conference. And they're a team that's done absolutely what's been told of them. Donovan Mitchell has been what I thought of Donovan Mitchell. He is an all-time all-star player. And that's what he brings to the team. And, I mean, Darius Garland is still great. I mean, they knew they needed more talent, and I think they could be a threat to the Knicks, which I think the Knicks are going to keep it close, but I can see the Cavs winning this series. Just because the Cavs have the home field in this series when it goes to Game 7 possibly. I mean, that's just what's going to happen looking into it. Probably the best team, though, that's going to be the Bucks right now. I think the Bucks are a team you can't sleep on in the Eastern Conference. Even though the Boston Celtics, listen, I've seen the Celtics in person. I talked to you about this when I was down there with the Rockets. If they play to their potential, they're going to be a good team to beat. if they don't play to their potential and they play like they did against the Rockets and lost the game to a team that was now 22-60, then that's not going to cut it. So that's going to be something to watch as we go into the Eastern Conference playoffs for sure. So, Kruck, I said the Eastern Conference. What do you think about the West?
Man, before I break that down, I just want to say one thing real quick. Have you seen how the NBA has shifted from a Western controlling conference to now an Eastern? Because, I mean, you look at the Bucks, the Celtics, and the 76ers have 1, 2, and 3 best records.
Yeah.
And then you look down at the other side of the bracket, you got the Nuggets with the 4th. You have the Cavaliers who are tied with the 5th. So, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but I think the East might be making a comeback. But let's talk about the West. The Nuggets have the number 1 seed in the West. I've been sleeping on them for years. I'm going to continue to sleep on them for years. I don't think they're going to do anything special. The Memphis Grizzlies, Max, you would know more than I do, is Ja Morant back?
Yes, he is back. Yes.
If he's back, they have a chance. The Sacramento Kings, I don't think there's enough playoff experience there for them to do a great job. So I don't see them moving much past the second round if they can get to the second round. The Phoenix Suns are going to be one of my favorites out of the Western Conference. I mean, I've continued to sleep on the Nuggets. I'd like them to prove me wrong, and then I will put my foot in my mouth. You have me on tape, Max. You see me saying it.
I do.
I will put my foot in my mouth. Coming out of the play-in tournament, honestly, I think it's just going to be the Lakers.
Yeah.
Playoff LeBron's going to take over, and he's going to make it out of there. I don't see them beating the Grizzlies, though. I don't think they can put two series together.
I agree with you. I think the Lakers probably will beat the Timberwolves to get that 7th spot, but it's just depending. It's what Lakers team shows up. If the Lakers team shows up how they've been towards the end of the season and they play together, they might have a shot to beat the Grizzlies. True. If they don't and they play like they did at the beginning of the season, I don't think they will. I'm going to go real intrigued by. You said you might not know about the Kings. I think the Kings could beat the Warriors in this series. I really do. I think so because if you look at it, how De'Aaron Fox and how this team is playing, it's again, Domantas Sabonis, I've said it before, he is the most underrated great big I've seen in this league. How he plays, even when he was at Indiana Pacers, now he's with the Kings, I think he's big time. But, I mean, I can't sleep on the Warriors because the Warriors have that experience too.
They have more playoff experience than
probably any of these teams right now. I mean, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I mean, the Suns-Clippers matchup, that's intriguing to me.
It'll be intriguing, but I'd like to see how playoff KD looks on the Suns because we know how playoff KD looks on the Warriors. We know how playoff KD is. But. Yeah.
Well, and also he's coming back from an injury too. So how is he going to perform with the Suns from that injury is going to be intriguing to me. So, I mean, this is the time of year, Kruck, when we pay attention to NBA stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of great matchups. I mean, this Kings-Warriors matchup I kind of like a lot. I think that game could go to 6, could go to 7 games. I really do. I think the Kings are a team that people got to be aware of going into for the West. And I think in the Eastern Conference, real quick, I like this Cavaliers-Knicks series. I think there's something about it. It's both teams are coming at it. I think Cavs are going to win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks do because, again, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, all those players I have for the Knicks are a talented team. So it's going to be interesting, Kruck. I mean, we didn't talk about your Bulls, though. Do you think your Bulls get any chance in the play-in against the Raptors or in Chicago?
No. All right, moving on. NHL. Max, the Boston Bruins have once again done it, and they have secured the best record in hockey. So, I mean...
Question is anyone going to beat them?
That's true. I mean, they've scored more points than any other team with 131 points. I mean, honestly, just looking at this team, it's going to be difficult to beat them because they're at home. They're 33-4-3. On the road, they're 38-2. Which even with double the amount of losses on the road, they're still well out winning everywhere they go. Honestly, Max.
Well, and also, look at this. One of their star players, looking at the stats for the Bruins, right? David Pastrnak has scored 60 goals.
Yeah.
60, Kruck, in a regular season. That's incredible to me to see.
That's Wayne Gretzky level.
Yeah, that is astonishing to me to see that. And I think the Bruins, what's making them so good, I think you're right, is they have those obvious to score, like I just mentioned there in Pasternak, but they're also, I think they're controlling very well when they're on the ice. I think they're coming as a team. And in hockey, you got to, especially we know this, it's a big-time team sport. You got to be together. I think that's what the Bruins are doing right now. And I look at the standings here. They're at 131 with points here. Well, everyone else is like a 107, 109. They're about 20 points ahead of everybody else looking at it. That is incredible to me to see. I think they're probably the clear favorites right now in the East. I mean, I don't know about the West. I mean, we still got a couple weeks till we get to playoffs, but I think they're my favorites right now, Kruck.
No, yeah, absolutely. I deeply enjoy watching them play. I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a hockey guy.
Me either,
but like I
what's our
say,
man Tim Hackett?
how do I pick my favorite logo, Max?
You just go off by the hats.
How would it look good on a hat, right?
Yeah.
And I've been a loyal fan of the Blackhawks because I'm from Chicago, but my second team, and you can pimp me like I pimp you. My second team is the Colorado Avalanche. I picked them 3 years ago because I really like their logo. I think their logo is awesome, and lo and behold, they won a Stanley Cup or something not too long ago. So I was like, all right, they're pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I think it might be the Avalanche out of the West and the Bruins out of the East because I don't see anybody stopping the Bruins. Looking at the West, I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights have been good since they've come into existence, right? They've been good. The Dallas Stars, I'm not feeling them. I just don't know.
What about the Seattle Kraken? I'm looking at their standings right now. They're this expansion team there, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, they're right now looking at 98 points. I mean, team that obviously they just got built a couple years ago. So, I mean, they're trying to probably get in their probably is their first time in the playoffs.
I do believe so. They might have. Last year was their first year, and I don't think they made it.
I don't think they made it.
Speaking of expansion teams, guess what the Golden Knights did in their first year in the league?
They made it to the playoffs, right?
They won it all.
Oh, that's right. So the Seattle
first
Kraken,
year, they won it all.
So the Seattle Kraken, I mean, it's not going to be their first year, but it's their first time in the playoffs, right?
So who knows? But looking at the NHL playoffs, obviously we'll try to have our hockey guy Tim Hackett on next week when we first get rolling with it. But that's just two guys who really don't watch hockey talking about it. Let's move into a sport that we actually do know, the MLB. Looking at the divisional breakdown in the American League, the Rays are leading the East, the Guardians are leading the Central, and the Texas Rangers are leading the West. Which one of those, if you were looking at this 6 months ago, that would be November or October. Which one of these do you think would be the most outrageous?
Outrageous? So, probably not what we expected kind of thing?
Yeah. For leading the division, the Rangers, the Guardians, and the Rays. Which one of those three do you think is a outrageous leader?
I mean, man, I would probably say the Rangers.
Yeah.
Because the Rangers we talked about it earlier in the year. We thought the Rangers could be a sleeper team looking out in the AL. And I mean, I think they're showing it because the Rangers, they brought a lot of those pieces in. We talked about it. I mean, Seager to the team is a big-time add. I think also them hitting the ball very well. I mean, they have great contact when they're up to the plate. A lot of their bats, too. But I'm giving props to the Tampa Bay Rays, though, too. I mean, 9-0. They're the only undefeated team left here in MLB baseball. And they're looking at it. They do a great job. They've only... Runs allowed, let's see, they've only allowed 18 runs, and they've scored 76. And their run differential, that means it's 58. So, plus 58. So that's already, what does that tell you? That tells you that they're all really good offensively. They can hit the bat very well. And, that's telling you a lot about this team. But also the pitching has been well, too, for the Rays. I think that's going to be something to watch as we go on. That's a great league, the AL East. And we don't know about the Red Sox, the Yankees. We always talk about those teams. The Rays are a team everybody still sleeps on. And I think they're going to be a team to watch for sure. Granted, it's still way early in the season. We don't know what's going to happen because baseball is a 163 got a game ahead season. So who knows, Kruck? But I think the Rays right now are a team you cannot sleep on.
Absolutely. And then looking at the NL divisional leaders, you got the Braves, the Brewers, and the Diamondbacks. Which one of those stand out to you, Max?
Oh, man. I'm probably, again... The West, I thought it'd either be San Diego or the Dodgers. We're saying both in the West.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, because the Brewers, it doesn't surprise me because the Brewers have been on and off. They've been good and they've been off. And props to you, Kruck. How about this? Tim's a Rays fan. The Rays are doing well. You're a Brewers fan. They're doing well. How about that? So both teams, and guess what my team's at? They're 4-4.
Hey, third place. That's a bronze medal, baby. That's a bronze medal.
Still early in the season. That's good to know. But I think right now, what's it going to be like in the NL West? I mean, the Dodgers are 5-5 at the moment. I mean, granted, yes, it's early in the season, but that's a team we all think should compete and win the NL West. So, what is the change that's happening in LA is going to be huge. And I always talk about San Diego Padres. I really like how they built their organization, new pitchers. I mean, they're 6-4. They're tied with the Diamondbacks right now, but I still think for the Padres, they got to find something with their pitching right now. They got to change what's going on. I think that's going to be huge to look at as we go into as the season goes on. And I think right now, the Padres are still the team that I think is going to win the AL West. I think looking at the NL East, it could either go the Braves or Mets. I think one of those teams right now at the top. I could see either one of them. I mean, the Phillies right now at 3-6. They got to turn it around right now because they're a team that should be there. And guess what? My Reds just beat the Phillies 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting that when I saw the score of that. And Milwaukee, how about the Pittsburgh Pirates turning it around? They're 6-3 at the moment. Who knows with them? They got, I believe it's funny too. They actually got Jackson Smith and Jigba's brother on the team, and Cannon Smith and Jigba. That's very cool to actually know about. That's kind of, I just saw that. I was like, wait a sec, because I always see it on like Twitter and stuff like that. So, but the Pirates are a team that obviously maybe we'll see what happens in the whole NL Central, but usually we talk about Milwaukee or St. Louis, and St. Louis is the last team right now. So again, still early in the season, but I think
stupidly early in the season.
Yeah, I mean we only 9 games in here, Chris.
We're less than 10% of the way through.
Yeah, we're not. So I think there's gonna be a lot changing still looking between, because I don't think Diamondbacks are gonna stay that hot. I don't know. I just at the moment it's early, but we'll see.
No, yeah. Looking at the West, the Padres and the Dodgers are going to be the 2 likely favorites to win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are the Padres not undefeated right now? Well, it's baseball. Why do they not have more wins? Well, Fernando Tatis Jr. tested positive for steroids, which means he has to miss games, right?
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean he can't play in the minor leagues. So he's playing with the he's playing for El Paso right now, the minor league team for the Padres, just simply staying hot, right? He also played spring training because that's also not against the rules. So as soon as you get, Fernando Tatis Jr. back up there, all of a sudden, now you have that powerhouse of Soto, Machado, Tatis Jr.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. They have firepower for days. I mean, they've already signed.
Sorry, Xander Bogaerts. Forgot his name.
And they signed all those players to big term contracts too. So that is what you want to have for the Padres. Can they get to that level? We'll see.
Yeah. Looking at the East, I think the 2 teams that you did say are going to be up in the top 3, but I think it's actually a 3-way race. I get the Phillies are starting off slow, but, Tatis is coming off of a steroid problem, right? He's coming off of a steroid problem because he had steroids last year. Harper's coming off an injured reserve list in about 2-3 months, I believe.
About that. Mm-hmm.
As soon as you get Harper back, their outfield stacked. Their batting order stacked. The only thing the Phillies are going to be scared of is their pitching. You look at it right now. They are 9 games into the season. They've given up 52 runs, and they've only scored 30 runs. Their pitching needs to lock it down, and they're golden. Looking at the Central, I think the Cardinals and the Brewers are going to have a tough race for it. As a diehard Brewers fan, I'm going to say the Brewers win it, but the Cardinals are just looking good, right? The Cardinals are looking good, and it's scary how good they are because I get all of 6 or 7 of their players last year won Golden Gloves. A couple of them won Silver Sluggers. You've got MVPs galore on that team. You've got speed, you've got power, you've got contact, and you've got good pitching. That's a hard team to beat. That's a hard team to beat. And fielding. Their team is a 5-star talent from top to bottom, so that's going to be a tough team to beat. For your Cincinnati Reds, I don't know if you guys are rebuilding or if you're halfway through rebuilding, but something's got to go. And I don't want you guys to rebuild during the last years of Joey Votto because I truly enjoy watching Joey Votto play.
Yeah, me too.
But looking at the Cubs have gone full rebuild. They got young talent in Bellinger and Dansby Swanson. They have Marcus Stroman. They have young talent, and they're going full rebuild. Hopefully, as a Brewers fan and as a Reds fan, hopefully this rebuild takes 106 years again so we can have a little bit of fun. But you talked about brothers. We're going to throw it right into sibling talk. Today is International Siblings Day, and so we're talking about all the siblings across all of the sports. Max, go first. Who's your first set of siblings?
Man, I mean, listen, I looked at this list, and I was the one that actually mentioned this. I thought it was very cool. I mean, looking at it, I'm going to mention one of the best ones of Venus and Serena Williams for tennis.
Took my favorite.
Listen, it's one of mine, too, because both of them are the top two in tennis, right? And we talk about it. We always like to talk about football, everything else. But we look at other sports. Tennis is a hard sport to play. And my dad, he played tennis before. He knows how tennis is as well. And I mean, we know Serena Williams is actually, has so many Grand Slam singles titles. I mean, I believe it's the most all time. It said 24 according to this. That's awesome. 24 singles titles. I mean, that's incredible. And then Venus Williams, you can't sleep with her either. I mean, she's a great competitor as well. And obviously, there was a movie that just came out about
King
both
Richard.
Serena. Yeah, King Richard, that talked about both Venus and Serena. And that was obviously a great entail of that for both of those sisters. So that's my first best all-time one. I mean, how long we going, Krug? Mentioned like what, 2 or 3? How we going?
I'm gonna mention 3 or 4. So
Okay.
my first one I'm gonna mention is the Ball brothers, LaMelo Ball and Lonzo Ball, both in the NBA, both current. The second one I'm gonna mention is William and Wilson Contreras, who both play in the NL Central. Can you name what 2 teams they both play for?
Didn't one play for the Cubs?
One did, and he moved.
Still in the NL Central, though.
Yep.
Man, let's see.
You're speaking of Wilson Contreras, who was with the Cubs. Where did he go?
We got Brewers, Cardinals. I mean, I got so many choices. What? Brewers, Cardinals.
He went to the Cardinals.
Yeah,
And his
Cardinals.
brother, William, who was with the Braves, is now with the Brewers.
Look at that. See, I was just to figure out which one.
Another pair of current brothers, Steph Curry, Seth Curry.
Oh, yeah.
2 of the best three-point shooters in the league right now. They're coaches, but I still respect them. Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh, siblings. Mark Gasol, Paul Gasol. I mean, they're old school, but they're still good. The last 3 I want to talk about, TJ, JJ, and Derek Watt.
That's a good one.
JJ just retired. TJ is coming off a spectacular season, and then Derek Watt is just.
Oh yeah.
He's people think of him as like the third brother, as in like third place, but at his position, he's one of the best to do it. Mm-hmm. So those are my four sibling days.
Man, yeah, you took a lot of my favorite ones too. I actually, looking at it, I mean, I know these brothers a lot. I mean, at least I know them by hearing their names: Yadier, Jose, and apparently Benji Molina. All the Molina brothers. I think Yadier and obviously Jose Molina we've kind of heard of before with big time baseball. I mean, Yadier Molina we know from the Cardinals. 6 Golden Gloves, 8 All-Star nuds, and 2 World Series rings according to this website. Looking at here, Kruck, so obviously pretty cool news. That's one of them. I mean, man, you took a lot of my favorite ones. Let's see. Let's go to a fun one here.
I left one set of 3 brothers in the NBA, if you can guess it.
Yeah, see, man, I'm trying to. Man, I'd say probably.
Antetokounmpos.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. I forgot about that.
And the worst part is,
it's Giannis, and what is it? It's with the T, right?
Yep.
What is it? Thanos.
Theonis,
my fault.
And then the last one's with the last one's with a K. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, like the rest of the people who we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all of them are all-stars, or not all-stars, but like household names, if you will, right? Giannis has turned himself into a household name. His 2 younger brothers still lacking a little bit in that, but I think they'll get there eventually.
Right.
Before we wrap up, sorry to cut you off. Before we wrap up, what are you picking up tomorrow at noon, Max?
What am I picking up tomorrow at noon?
Mm-hmm. What you picking up?
I wasn't planning to pick anything up. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm picking up a ring. I forgot about that. It was at noon now? They said it was at noon now?
Yeah, I talked to the coach today.
The coaches? Yeah.
Said it was going to be at noon.
So yeah, what me and Kruck are talking about is, so football team got another ring we get to put on. Both me and Kruck can be those people that got 2 rings that we can put on our hands now.
We're going to be one of the few.
We're going to be one of the few that have 2 rings for a football team, and we're very excited about that. And I believe they're just handing it out to us. And we did a ceremony for one of them. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be like that this year, though, because we don't got all the coaches gone. And
unfortunately, there's a little bit of bad blood.
So we don't want to get in all that situation. But regardless, no, I'm very excited, man. I mean, I'm just glad, and I think you're the same way, that we stuck out somewhere for this long. I'm straightening up my heart, because I to be honest with you, Craig, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Probably you were the same way for probably a period of your time. You're like, I don't know how long I'm going to try to stay at this school. You know what I'm saying? It's just like knowing where it is and staying somewhere is hard sometimes for a lot of people. And I think I'm glad for that. And now I'm glad to get another ring and, show it off to future, whether it's future kids I have in the future or anything else. So,
I'll say this right now, and you guys can all hate on me for it later. I started 2 years here, and both times I started on field goal.
That's true.
Never started on offense or defense. I was always just a special teams guy, but I always played my hardest, right? Mm-hmm. When I grow up and have kids and grandkids, I'm gonna put these rings on and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I was an All-American. I started every game. I called the plays. I was the quarterback. I'm not even gonna. I'm just gonna lie about it. Like they weren't alive. They're not gonna know. Shoot, who cares?
They better not ask for the highlights, you know what I'm saying? They better not ask, I need to see proof.
The technology we use today will be so outdated by the time our kids are around. They won't even be.
But huddle is going to be so different by the time we get to what?
Shoot, they're just going to have like heads-up display. They're going to have like those little Google glasses in their helmet.
It's true, it probably will. Oh, man.
Kind of like how right now, like when we see those old school film players, and like you're like, oh my goodness, this is so old. That's going to be our kids when we pull out like a MacBook. They're going to be like, what is that? So old. You actually have to use your fingers to type. But, all right.
Man.
So, thank you all for tuning in. Episode will be up next week, Monday, Tuesday-ish. Till next time, Max, Jake Krugenberg, Buster the Dog. See you guys later.
Want to stay up to date on all Crunch Time episodes? Make sure to subscribe and follow on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.